understand that this podcast can be psychologically scarring. You should seek the services of a mental health professional. It's Harmless Phosphorescence. Everyone, this is your host, Thoreau Smiley, and I'm not dead. I'm just exhausted. Who's joining me this week?
Hi, I'm sorry Josh couldn't be here this week, but I'm his cousin, also named Josh.
I also thought this was the cousin's dinner. I'm Brian Lesh.
I'm Alaric Weber, but I call myself Super Batman.
He does.
It
gets weird. This is Harmless Phosphorescence. It's the podcast where we watch every theatrically released full-length live-action superhero movie ever made. We gather some research into the production and source material, and we tell you all about it. This show is brought to you by our patrons like executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett. You can be a patron too. Go to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. We got a lot of bonus content there. We got a bunch of Star Wars shows and a bunch of holiday shows. Some music stuff up there. We do a monthly movie. We just put Basic Instinct up there, our episode on Basic Instinct. It's leg-crossingly good. So head on over there, check it out.
Leg-crossingly good.
Patreon.com/harmless entertainment. This week, though, on Harmless Phosphorescence, we're watching The Flash.
Tell me something. You can go anywhere. Another timeline. Another universe. So why do you want to stay and fight to save this one?
Because this is the world where my mom lives. I'm not going to lose her again. Time has a pattern that it can't help reliving. Different people, different worlds, drawn to each other like magnets. It's my face. You stole my face.
If you were to go into the past, you have no idea what the consequences can be.
Bruce, I could fix things.
You could also destroy everything.
This can't be happening. I completely broke the universe.
Sorry. We've been waiting for you.
I created a world with no metahumans. And now there's no one to defend us.
Want some help?
You are?
Yeah. I'm Batman.
If I can't undo what I did, if I can't get back, there might not be a future. What's the play? Batman, what do we do?
We try not to die.
It's not Clark.
My name is Kara.
I'm Barry. We're Barry. Barry, what are you doing? Our kids are gonna want to see this.
The Flash. It was released on June 16th, 2023, a running time of 144 minutes. It made $370 million. I'm sorry, it cost $370 million. It made $268 million.
That sounds right.
Now, I have a little bit of a breakdown. I did some research and some math. Usually I just say what things made and then we go to the box office top 10, but I kind of wanted to break this down. So, when a film is released, because this film is considered one of the biggest film flops of all time, and while making $268 million seems pretty good, obviously $370 million is more. That $370 million does include the promotional budget, which was humongous on this. $170 million just to promote it.
They really should have won an award for the trailer, though. Like, it's a great trailer.
Yeah, that's a great trailer.
I don't need the movie. That's pretty much the whole movie.
That's
one of the few times I wouldn't complain about that.
Well, and let's be clear. I mean, The Flash is the least interesting part of the trailer or the film. Yeah. So, all right. Now, this movie made $268 million. Now, how this works is that in week one, the studio gets 80% of all ticket sales, and theater chains get 20%. In the second week, this is general. This may vary by a few points here and there for specifics, but week 2 it goes to 75-25. Week 3 is 60-40, and then from there on out, it's usually about 50-50, where theater chains get about 50%. Now, I went and I looked at the worldwide breakdown of this film week by week over the first few weeks, and all told, the total losses on this film for Warner Brothers was $191 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if this is one of the reasons why the Batgirl movie got canceled, to help offset the cost of this movie.
Maybe. It's honestly shocking that they didn't.
I wonder.
Like, I mean, there was so much sunk cost into this that they couldn't cancel it like they did Batgirl.
Well, and this felt like a weird, like, pump and dump rug pull kind of thing, because you had, like, who is it, Tom Cruise and James Gunn. Like, they're like, this is great. This is such a great movie. It's one of the greatest films I've ever seen. And then we see it and we're like, boo, dude, gross.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is, like, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to, but there's a lot of really batshit crazy, pardon the pun, batshit crazy stuff in here.
Well, it just feels unfinished, and it's got weird sections that shouldn't exist.
But I didn't hate it either. That's what I meant about complicated. Complicated in the sense that I thought I would dislike it more, and I'm confused by how much I did like it.
I'm confused by how entertaining huge swaths of it were, while other giant chunks are just mind-bogglingly terrible.
Yeah, I skipped through the beginning because I've seen it probably 4 times now. Like, I don't want to see the beginning ever again.
Yeah, they chose a weird way to start this movie.
They chose a very DC Warner Brothers way to start the movie.
Yeah.
So much so that they're like, we don't know what else to do except have Batman in it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Okay, so I mean, let's just go ahead. Let's get to the box office top 10 game, guys. This is the game where
2 months ago, or 3, I'm sorry. 3 months ago.
Where I'm going to describe the top 10 movies of the week of June 16th, 2023. And fellas, you try to guess the movie I'm describing. At number 10 for the week. Nora and Hai Sung, two deeply connected childhood friends, are wrested apart after Nora's family immigrates from South Korea. 20 years later, they're reunited for one fateful week as they confront notions of love and destiny.
Love and destiny.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this movie. It looks like it might be pretty good, honestly. Super generic name. It's called Past Lives.
Oh, all right. That is a title.
Yeah, Joan of Arc over here.
Yeah.
over here. This guy all of a sudden.
At number 9 this week, Dom and his family are targeted by the vengeful son of drug kingpin Hernan Reyes.
Dom. Oh, you know Dom.
The Furious number
Yes.
9.
10.
10.
Number 10.
Fast 10.
Fast 10. Your seatbelts.
Fast 10 years seatbelts.
Yeah. Yeah. Fast 10, which another disappointing box office run.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Honestly, that like makes me wonder if this movie got extra hurt from like market conditions around that point. You know?
I think it's so. This year, 2023, is the first year in 20 years that the top 3 movies are not a single one of them are a sequel.
That's great. I love that.
Since 2003, that's the last time it happened.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Very interesting. I hope this is kind of a weird watershed year for Hollywood. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to big budget movies going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just more sequels from the movies that did well this year.
Right? They never learned their lesson ever.
Ever.
Oh God! All right, at what are we on? Number 8 this week. Yeah, number 8 this week. Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her younger sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. The
Papa,
tag.
can you hear me?
The tagline is "It's not real. It's not real. It's not real." This is a Stephen King adaptation.
Oh, the Boogeyman?
The Boogeyman, which is also a disco movie. The Boogeyman.
Boogie Woogie.
Yeah. At number 7, still reeling from the loss.
Wait, do those both have the same first like 4 words?
Yeah. In a world.
Still reeling from the loss of his girlfriend. A man rallies his friends to help one of their group.
Help me unbury my girlfriend. To help my...
Don't tell mom my girlfriend. I don't know.
This is a film we have discussed at length recently.
What?
Oh,
You're doing that thing you do.
is it Indiana Jones?
No.
Hey.
That was his wife, not his girlfriend. Very recently, actually. We've talked about this at great length.
Oh, Guardians 3.
Guardians 3.
Jesus.
Yeah. Opening this week at number 6. This movie. 7 friends go away for the weekend and end up trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. Will their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies help them stay alive? Probably not.
A group of friends.
This is a movie I kept meaning to watch, and I need to actually get around to it because it looks pretty good.
What this
but
is called.
I haven't heard much about its. Oh wow, this was a huge hit. No wait, I'm sorry. I saw 462,000 and thought that was 462 million. I was like, oh my god. But no. It was not a huge hit.
I don't know.
Wow.
It's a meta
comedy.
horror comedy, kind of like Scream, but with a particular twist. It's called The Blackening. It's their tagline was "We can't all die first," which.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. It's an all African American cast, so you know. At number 5 this week, a young girl makes a deal with a witch to trade her voice for legs.
Ariel. Yeah.
It's a voice for like that's a conversion.
Have you guys seen this, The Little Mermaid?
No.
I'm gonna take a look at it. It's on Disney now.
I have not seen a single live-action Disney remake.
Neither have I.
Oh.
That might be on the list, Thoreau. That might be an interesting thing to do, and just like, because I have very little interest in it, but like Beauty and the Beast, that makes me laugh so hard that they made
The Jungle Book was.
I heard the
Jungle Book was cute.
I heard that was good because it was less a remake of the animated film and more just like a retelling of the Rudyard Kipling story.
And it's John Favreau, and he also did The Lion King, which is not bad
I love
comparatively.
live action Lion King. There is not a single piece of live action footage in that movie.
There isn't in any of them.
I mean, at least the others have human actors in them, but The Lion King had nothing.
Those were real animals, sir. Very talented. Very talented.
That
animals.
lion studied.
John Favreau and
Juilliard.
Beyonce did that themselves. They trained all of those animals.
Speaking of studying, where did Scar get his accent? Did he study abroad, do you think?
Edinburgh?
Yeah.
As a British lion. Like Aslan.
Who plays Scar in
the remake?
original?
The live action, damn it. You got me straight now.
I'm
The
not
CG
sure.
one.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Irons, obviously, the original. I don't know. In the remake. Did they just get Jeremy Irons
Jeremy
again?
Irons.
Again?
Boom.
Maybe. I don't know. No, I don't. I think they found somebody else.
We found a way to bring it back.
We could Google it, but we're not gonna.
We're not gonna.
We're-
It was a black actor
Black girl.
who's been prominent these days.
That was Scar.
Yeah.
God damn it! Now I am gonna Google.
I think he was in Black Panther or something like that. I don't know. I believe he's been in one of the Marvel movies we've watched recently.
All right.
Jesus, sorry.
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm so sorry I asked.
It was. Oh,
Hi,
God.
what happened?
You're gonna make me say his fucking name, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, what's his name? Mordo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. At number 4 this week. During the 90s. Not
Yes.
expecting this to start that way.
Yes, during the
Still
90s.
reeling from the loss of the 90s.
Oh,
Still
Al,
reeling.
Al, we
That's
all
us.
are. We
Yeah.
all are.
Still reeling. Bass Fisher, the movie.
I've been playing a lot of simulator games recently. My favorite has to be Bee Simulator.
Wait, are you
Really?
the bee?
Yeah.
You play as the bee?
You're
Is
a
it first
bee.
person
You're
individual bee
first person, you're the bee. You collect pollen and then return it to your hive. That's the entire game. It's amazing.
Okay.
Shoot me a link.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I'm into
That
that.
does sound nice.
Yeah. During the 90s, a new faction of these particular sort of people we're talking about joined the ones we know about already in a battle for Earth.
Transformers?
Rise of the Beasts.
Of the Beasts.
Yes, indeed. Oh my God, we still got 3 to go. At number 3 this week.
We're going to have to retire this game pretty soon. We're almost caught up. There's no more movies coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's happening right now?
At number 3 this week, our hero is catapulted across a multiverse where he encounters a team of super people and has to handle a threat.
This? The Flash?
Nope.
Is it Is Doctor Strange still?
No. That's a year and some change old.
Yeah, that was the first. Across the Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
There, yes.
Wait, you're telling when did that open?
Like 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, June.
Yeah.
I'm bummed that it fell off that quickly. So it was good.
Oh, it did very well.
Oh, it was
I
great.
mean, it did like $500 million internationally. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love it.
yeah.
Opening this week at number 2. This film follows Ember and Wade, where a diverse set.
Elementals.
Elemental, yeah. Another one that was initially did terrible and then ended up having some legs and doing all right.
Huh.
480 total at the end, which is not a bomb at all for a Pixar film. And opening at number 1, Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past.
The Flush.
The Fish, yes.
Flourish.
The Flash opens at number 1. It does not stay there. So week 1, the first week, this does $72 million in the U.S. Week 2, it does $21 million.
Oh,
That first week is like the core comic book people who don't care about anything besides comic book movies, I would assume.
Absolutely.
but still pretty small.
That's
70.
Yeah.
Week 3,
Something.
it does $8 million.
Oh,
Wow.
so like even the lamest of comic book movies, by the third week, people who were very skeptical have gone to see it.
Week
8 million.
Week
Oof.
4, $3 million.
Wow. Warner Brothers is going to send some of these actors a bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, charge them.
Almost $200 million in straight losses. Yeah.
Wow.
Woo! This is why Aquaman is getting. They're not talking about. We don't talk about Aquaman like Bruno.
No Talkwoman in this house.
Aquaman 2 is still coming. The last DCEU movie. We'll talk about it if it ever gets released.
Sure, we will.
When I'll watch it, it's got Tamira Morrison in it.
Yeah. Well, this movie had Tamura Morrison in it.
I watched it.
Yeah, exactly. Man of his word.
So that is it for the box office top 10. That brings us to the character and comic book background. Professor, will you please talk, if you will, about these characters?
So, yes, legitimately, we have spoken about all of these characters before. Flash, Batman, Zod, Supergirl, who
Pride,
else?
Sloth.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, we saw her. Aquaman, we saw
Alfred.
Superman, we saw the back of his head. Briefly, as
The
he was
crime
fighting,
boss's kid.
as he was fighting a
Falcone's son?
volcano.
Oh, Falcone's son technically was in this, right?
Kara Zor-El.
Yeah.
Zod Squad.
We never really talked about Iris West.
Because I'm saying,
Barry-
who is that?
Well, no, she's Barry's woman, right? In the comics.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was a reporter even in. So, sorry.
No worries. She would become Barry's wife, Iris West Allen. She was real quick. Let's a refresher on the Flash. First appeared in Flash Comics #1, January of 1940, from All American Comics. Created by Gardner Fox.
Awesome.
And let's see.
That sounds like a
So
Wind in
back-
the Willows character.
Yeah, it does. Back then, it was the Golden Age Flash was Jay Garrick, and he had that wicked cool helmet.
Yeah,
we briefly saw him.
Yes,
we did see him in this.
Yeah,
but yeah, the Mercury type image they use on what's the flower company? FTD.
Yeah.
And Jay Garrick Flash was a charter member of the Justice Society of America, the first comic superhero team. After the big fall off on superheroes, and DC successfully revived the superhero genre in 1956, Flash was the first classic character they re-envisioned in Showcase number 4, October of 1956. Silver Age Flash was created by Robert Kanigher, John Broome, and Carmine Infantino.
Oh, I know Carmine. He's been around a while.
And Barry Allen Flash was a police scientist who gained super speed after he was bathed in chemicals after a chemical shelf was struck by lightning. So,
that's how that's done.
Yeah.
It's better than falling in a tank of eels.
Yeah.
Gotta watch where you fall, man.
Exactly.
Barry Allen stories introduced the concept of the multiverse to comics, to DC Comics. With Allen and Garrick, the two versions of the Flash existing on parallel Earths.
I mean, they were the first to do the multiverse concept sort of in general, right?
Yeah.
Before Marvel even dipped its toe in that.
I think maybe What Ifs, though. I think What Ifs might have existed around that time.
Maybe. I don't recall how far back the What Ifs started.
They've been making them for quite a while.
I mean, as far as calling it something.
Yeah. That's different. You're right.
So Iris West, she first appeared in the same issue, Showcase number 4, as Barry Allen in October of 56.
So
also created by Robert Kanigher and Carmine Infantino.
Literally been paired with him from the very beginning.
Yeah. Iris West works as a reporter for Picture News in Central City. Fiance of Barry Allen. I think even before he became the Flash, as she often chides Barry for his frequently being late due to his repeatedly being lost in thought at work as a forensic scientist.
Oh, Barry.
Hurry up, Barry.
A tendency which continues even after he becomes a high-speed superhero.
I think that's cool that they kind of like hung a hat on that multiple times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. That's true. It's a fun little work.
Yeah.
When Iris and Barry marry, Iris learns that not only is Barry the city's heroic speedster, but her nephew, Wally West, is Kid Flash. She is not told by Barry, but discovers her husband's secret on their wedding night when Barry talks in his sleep.
I was going to say, when Barry is real fast.
Yeah, when he consummates their marriage in... Wait one second.
She doesn't reveal this knowledge to him until their first wedding anniversary.
A year later.
Yeah. So keeping
That's
her
pretty
secret
gangster.
that she knows his secret.
That's very Lois Lane of her, you know?
First year anniversary is metahuman, right? And then wood.
No, or just handing over your blackmail.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Paper.
Yeah.
Paper.
During this time, the couple discovers that Iris was born in the 30th century. And is in fact a metahuman. Anyway, she dies at some point, but that doesn't stick. Let's see.
Sadness.
She
just being old. Eventually, it finally caught up to her.
she was killed by Zoom.
Zoom.
or Professor Zoom, another speedster who vibrated his hand into her head.
Isn't that Tim Allen?
Professor.
We're on Zoom right now. Dun-dun-dun.
Careful, guys.
Iris West died for this.
She died on Zoom.
And there was some complicated time thing involved with her coming back to life.
Yeah, there always is.
It's a comic book. Yeah.
Paradox. Anyway, that's all I got. She was not in this movie a ton.
No, it seemed like her part was going to be bigger, and then it wasn't.
Well, we haven't talked much about multiple flashes. That's an interesting thing. This is not a named alternate flash, but this is a parallel flash.
Yeah, well, and this is very loosely based on Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's that Dark Flash that, is technically the Barry we meet, but he becomes this
it's kind of like monster. Zoom. And kind of like having Yellow Flash or whatever that other guy's name is.
Yeah, he made he made sort of a Yellow Flash costume ish.
Yeah. I thought in the trailer, like the way they shot it, it looked for a minute like he was Yellow Flash, but then
looked for a minute.
It's fun because it's like they just watched the TV show and then made a movie out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How can we condense this into a show?
I'm much more familiar with the CW show than I am with the comics in general. And at the end, they have like 5 or 6 evil speedsters.
Of course.
How many love triangles? Is there like a love pentagram?
I have seen some really, really terrible action sequences from that show on just randomly. Because I haven't watched the show personally, but it's got a CW budget, so the action sequences aren't always going to be great. But honestly, this film didn't look a whole lot better than the show.
Oh, this film looked objectively worse in certain points, but they said for style choices, I guess, stylistic.
The CGI in this was was just awful.
The first season, I was going to say the first season of The Flash was really good, and then it kind of tapered off. They dumped a ton of money into that first season.
Yeah, I really, really liked the Flash series. You're right. The first couple of seasons were like really, really solid. And that's what kept me going. And then it was still good, but soap opera-y. I still maintain that Grant Gustin is historically our best Flash actor.
Did it end?
Laughter.
The Flash series?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes? Wait. Now I don't even know anymore.
Time is a flat circle.
Because I know Supergirl, which was part of that universe, ended, right?
Yeah.
Melissa Benoist or whatever her name is. Benoist? Yeah, Benoist.
Green Arrow was in that.
Yeah, because it is
TV
the Arrowverse.
series.
Green Arrow was the first one.
Yeah. Well, it says up to 2003. They had 9 seasons. Did I watch all the way to the end? Yeah. I think they're done. I think it's over.
So
they had another.
Is the Arrowverse then officially over? Are there any other spin-offs still going?
What's that Captain Cold show?
There's a Captain Cold show?
Yeah, what was that called? Like the World of Tomorrow? Or
Legends.
Yeah.
Legends of
Tomorrow, right?
Time.
Of Manana.
That's got to be gone. That did not last.
Yeah, that's gone. That's no longer there. There was a Batgirl that I think got canceled. I haven't seen that it's been.
Oh, is Gotham technically in that, or is that an entirely different verse?
No.
Gotham's not in the Arrowverse.
Okay.
No. That
was a Fox show, I think.
Okay. All right. So that I think that is a nice segue into the production history of the film Flash. So buckle up, guys. The Flash. On screen. So the film first development of this on film began in the late 1980s. They hired Jeff Loeb to try and write a screenplay to this. Jeff Loeb, Teen Wolf. He was a Smallville showrunner, I believe. Lost. He worked on Lost. So he
was a writer for comic books.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
The Long Halloween is a great storyline that's been adapted. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
So yeah, they hired him. That went nowhere.
Ironically, a standing still Flash.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there was a Flash TV series, which started in 1990 and aired for one season.
Yep.
I remember watching it. I thought it was good. It was very expensive and didn't get great ratings. I think it was. I believe it was syndicated rather than like a next gen style.
It would have to have 100 episodes.
No, it can be aired an original syndicated show, not a network show that goes into syndication. Like Next Gen was an original syndicated show.
I see. Like anyone can pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why, it could be on any channel. So, but it didn't do well. They stopped production.
The actor for that plays Jay Garrick in the CW Flash TV series.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember watching it again, like just so desperate for to see comic book heroes in live action and see costumes in live action. I was so forgiving. Let's just say.
I remember this being on cassette and like watching this on cassette.
Wait,
like
VHS?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, like I remember renting this, like individual not episodes, but like individual chunks of the show on tape.
Interesting.
I saw it on VHS. Yeah.
I just remember watching it on my tiny little like color TV.
Yeah.
So and that's about it for the Flash throughout the 90s. Then in 2004, Warner Brothers hired everyone drink David S. Goyer to write the Flash script. Wow. Yep.
And he's still attached to this.
He gets a producing credit because he's David S. Goyer.
David S. Goyer.
Yeah. In 2004,
he must have some compromising photographs of Superman, just like blackmailing.
Oh my God. Yeah. So he approached Ryan Reynolds to play Wally West in his Flash movie.
Okay.
I can see it. I mean, it's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. So. Barry Allen was going to appear in a supporting role. His script, he said, was influenced by Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. At that point, it would have been his Spider-Man duology. But that went nowhere. And by 2007, he left the project. Sean Levy was hired to oversee it. He did like Night at the Museum.
Sean Levy. Yeah.
He's a producer on Stranger Things. He's just kind of like a like Hollywood producer guy. He works on a ton of stuff, sitcoms and reality shows. Kind of just Hollywood dude. The script that he was overseeing was written by Chris Brancato. Chris Brancato is mostly known for writing a bunch of legal dramas like Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
I watched a whole season of Boston Legal before I realized it wasn't a new Star Trek.
Okay. Anyways, but he was rewriting Goyer's script at that point. That was the same year, and just within weeks of Warner Brothers announcing the development of a Justice League movie, which was being written by Michelle and Kieran Mulroney, and to be directed by George Miller. We've talked about this when we did the Justice League episode. It went nowhere. At that point, Adam Brody was supposed to be the Flash. That's the dude from the OC. He was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Thank You for Smoking, Jennifer's Body. Yeah, that dude. That went nowhere, and by 2009, David Dobkin signed on to take over directing and overseeing The Flash. That's the dude that did Wedding Crashers, Shanghai Nights. But then Justice League...
So he's Owen Wilson's friend?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Basically, yeah. Just at that point, the Justice League movie was canceled. And they set a 2008 release for The Flash at that point. But then the Writers Guild strike happened. The last Writers Guild strike.
This movie spanned both writer strikes.
It spanned the entirety of the last Writers Guild contract. Yes. Yeah. So, then Charles Rowan, who is a producer, took over. Jeff Johns and Don Mazow began writing a script. But then in 2010, WB fired them and hired the Green Lantern writers, Craig Bertelli and Michael Green and Mark Guggenheim, because the upcoming Green Lantern movie was supposed to be great. That did not turn out to be. And then what happened was Snyder happened. Man of Steel. And when they announced Batman v Superman and the Justice League, all of that, once the Snyderverse happened, they rolled the Flash project into that. They hired Ezra Miller in 2014. So he has been the DC's Flash for 9 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Justice League, Batman v Superman, just briefly.
He was in Batman v Superman as a cameo.
Yeah.
He's appeared in a lot of. He's appeared in that, Suicide Squad, Justice League,
Peacemaker finale.
Peacemaker. I believe he's been the Flash in at least 5 projects. Yeah.
And he had a brief appearance in the Arrowverse Flash.
Yes. He's appeared on screen as Flash in 6 separate projects.
So they definitely intended on putting him in a lot and using him a lot.
Yeah.
Just he fucked himself.
We're not going to get deep into what Ezra Miller did, but he did some stuff.
You can Google it. He has a pretty distasteful criminal record.
And I'm sorry. I want to stop misgendering Ezra Miller, because despite what they did, they are non-binary and their preferred pronouns are they, them. Okay. So Ezra Miller, they.
I didn't know. I knew he had a fluidity to him.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah. So even insane monsters deserve to be referred to by their preferred pronouns. So Ezra Miller.
Everybody does. You just have to tell me. Yeah. If I guess, I'll probably get it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So they signed on as Barry Allen. Their first appearance was in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad in 2016, Justice League 2017. That's right. In the Arrowverse, then Peacemaker. James Wan, at that point, was offered either the directing of Aquaman or The Flash. and he chose Aquaman, which came out in 2018 and made over $1 billion.
And he's another one of those like neo horror directors, right?
Yeah, I believe so. James Wan.
Like
Insidious. Saw and Insidious.
Yep, that's him. And it's funny they went with a horror director.
It is, and it's funny. It's interesting he chose Aquaman over The Flash because on paper The Flash seems like it would be a better, like not a better, but a more I would find The Flash more interesting personally than Aquaman.
There's a lot more going on.
Well, and in film you can mess with time, so
which is always fun. Whereas with Aquaman, you have to make it like a lot of stuff underwater, which is a pain in the ass.
He's like, I want to direct, but I want to stay in a giant soundstage, and I don't want to go anywhere ever.
And I want it to all be in water.
Well, you have to be on the soundstage. Yeah, it has to be green screen.
So
I met James Cameron once.
Because they're talking
to
each other.
Then, in 2015, after James Wan chose Aquaman, which, by the way, it took 3 years to get Aquaman made, in 2015, they hired Lord and Miller to start writing the Flash film with the intent to direct it.
Those poor dudes.
Right?
Lord and Miller sounds like a fancy, like, haberdashery in London or something.
But let's be
clear. What have they done?
Lord and Miller? Oh, we've talked about them. Christopher Lord, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Well, they were originally brought on to write and direct Solo, a Star Wars story, but they got fired from it halfway through, and Ron Howard got hired to redirect it. But they made Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, 21 Jump Street, the Lego Movie, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and they had the last laugh on The Flash because just this year they came out with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the clearly superior multiverse movie of 2023.
I see who they are. Yes, I totally remember.
But after they got fired from Star Wars, they also got fired from The Flash, and they brought Seth Grahame-Smith on to write it. He's the dude that he wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He was a novelist. This was supposed to be his first film script, and he was supposed to direct it. I don't know why or how they decided that was a good idea.
Well, because they probably needed a patsy. They needed a fall guy at this point. They're like, this movie's getting old.
Yeah.
Spin it on him.
So at this point, it's produced by Zack Snyder, written and directed by Seth Grahame-Smith. But then in February 2016, they moved the release date to 2018. And he left the project in April, citing creative differences. Lord and Miller were still producers at this point because it was their script he was adapting. And they began a search for a replacement. Rick Famu... Oh, I'm going to have to... Okay, Rick... Oh, they don't even have a...
We won't know who he is anyway.
Rick Famuyiwa was hired on. He is the guy that he directed Brown Sugar in 2002, Dope in 2015. He was brought on at this point to oversee it. They thought his vision would resonate with younger audiences. They expected to begin filming in the last half of 2016 and didn't think it would be delayed at all. His female lead...
There's the Ron Howard voiceover 7 years later.
Right. He hired on to play Iris West Kiersey Nicole Clemens, who is best known for playing Diggy Andrews in Dope. And...
All right.
Yeah, she was.
All right.
She's an African American actress of medium fame. Anyways, they. Oh my God, Yeah, so he also, Rita Ora was also in talks to play that role. Anyways.
Taika's lady?
Yeah. At that point, they took the release date away from Flash and gave it to Tomb Raider. Ray Fisher was on board to play Cyborg in it. He was supposed to have a pretty major role at this point. Gal Gadot and Billy Crudup, who, let's remember, Billy Crudup played Henry Allen in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Before Ron Livingston, yeah.
Yeah. We're both on board.
On Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Crudup, he's good. He's good stuff.
Yeah. So they began pre-production, and filming was to start in 2017. And then Famuyiwa left the project, citing creative differences with Warner Brothers. And because he wanted to make a more mature film, and at this point, they were like, no. Everybody hates the Snyder shit. Let's make it funny. Because this was happening right around the time the whole Justice League shenanigans were going on. They put it on hold and started looking for a new director. And they had to put it on the back burner when Ezra Miller started filming Fantastic Beasts. They hired Joby Harold to begin a complete from-scratch rewrite of the script. And at that point, they started talks with Robert Zemeckis and Matthew Vaughn to direct.
Both interesting directors.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think the way this movie was made is what his problem is.
No, I don't think the directing is the issue. I'm not even sure the writing's the biggest issue.
Nor are the performances. I mean, it just, yeah.
It's a lot of things that aren't quite right coming together to make something that's just all wrong.
It's like the uncanny valley of superhero movies. We know what we want from a superhero movie, and this is just,
yeah. Robert Zemeckis obviously has the Back to the Future connection, and Matthew Vaughn, he did Snatch. We've talked about him on Kick-Ass.
He didn't do Snatch.
No, we talked about him on Kick-Ass.
Oh. I thought I heard Snatch.
Yeah, he directed Snatch. Or he didn't direct Snatch. He helped write Snatch.
Yeah, it's a Guy Ritchie joint.
Yeah. But anyways, they also talked to Sam Raimi. They talked to Mark Webb, the guy that did Amazing Spider-Man. And they talked to Jordan Peele about doing this. Jordan Peele turned it down. They wanted Ben Affleck to direct it at one point. He turned it down.
I hope he laughed in their faces and he said, give me Batman or nothing else.
He directed Air, and I think he directed another one in between that time even.
Yeah.
And they were all really critically acclaimed. Every movie he's made, people have been like, he's so good at this.
He's a good director. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? And it's like, he's like, this is like my sixth movie. Fuck you.
Well, I listened.
He hasn't gotten panned much for his films.
I listened. I heard an old interview with him recently. Not an old interview. An interview with him recently in which he was talking about his career. And he said Gigli is the reason he's had the career he's had. Because Gigli was such a bomb that he didn't think he'd be able to work as an actor anymore. So he decided to pivot into directing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it's part of that expertise that Ron Howard has. Ben was a child actor as well. So most of his life, he's been on set. And if you're a child on set, you have to sit there silently. So you absorb what's fucking going on, kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you had a kid watch you take down an engine and put it apart, or put it back together, he'd probably do it if he watched every bit of it.
And every day, for 6 weeks.
For your whole life.
Yeah, you're going to soak that up.
Okay.
So anyways, at this point in 2017, at Comic-Con 2017, they announced that it was going to be called Flashpoint, and it was going to be a time travel film.
and the 17 guys who were in that hall were very excited to hear it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. So anyways, they said that it would in fact have Thomas Wayne as Batman, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan at this point was on board to play Thomas Wayne.
That would be a fine casting, actually.
Yeah.
But him as Batman, Thomas as Batman? No, I don't think so. But
yeah.
That was from the...
Yeah, that's the comics storyline.
Yeah, the Flashpoint comics.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do it.
So in 2018, they brought on John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein to write and direct the film.
John Daly is a funny kid.
Yeah, Freaks and Geeks.
I used to love the John Daly show. No, I'm just kidding.
He wrote Horrible Bosses. He wrote actually quite a few comedies.
They're a team actually together, and they wrote Horrible Bosses. They were writers on Spider-Man: Homecoming. They were writers on the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, which is great, and everybody slept on it, which is too bad. But at this point, Zemeckis was tentatively he had signed a tentative deal, but it gave him an out, and he did not end up making it. And that by this point, Ezra Miller was filming the Fantastic Beasts sequel, so they had to wait
so long.
They were at this point aimed for a 2021 release date. And then in 2019, Ezra Miller went to the press and told them that he was personally rewriting the script. They were personally rewriting the script, yeah.
And Warner Brothers didn't think anything of this at this moment in time.
And they were fine with it. He had Grant Morrison helping him.
Okay.
I remember people being excited for him to do this, to do this. And being like, oh, okay, this seems like a really bad idea. This is what they tell you not to do.
Right. They wanted to make a more serious film. They didn't like the light approach that it was currently being taken. And at this point, Miller told the studio that he would leave the film if they did not, and leave the role of Flash if he wasn't allowed to have input into the tone of the film.
So it's interesting because I think they achieved a balance that works of humor and drama.
Yeah.
Because they shift gears really well, and it's happening and it all hinges on Ezra Miller's performance, which is interesting. But it's not enough. Like, that's not enough to make a movie. Like, that's cool. It looks cool.
Yeah. This... I agree with Josh. I have weird feelings about this movie because there's so much in it that works and is good, but then there's so much that just doesn't at all.
Honestly, to me, the performances are some of the best performances that are in the DC universe, which is terrible to say because I really like Cavill and everybody, and Ben Affleck's fun. He's the best in this part. Jesus. He's the best Batman we've gotten in 10 years. Besides,
they took a lot of wide swings.
Yeah,
they did. And I have to think if this film if they had finished the CGI, if they had bothered to finish the CGI and there wasn't the Ezra Miller stuff happening, I think this film would have been, at least artistically, considered mostly successful.
Okay. So we talked about the cost of this movie and the loss of this movie. How many times did they dump money into this movie to keep this idea kicking this can down the road?
Right.
That's not included in that $350 million, or 370 or whatever.
This was in continuous development from 2003. 20 years. It took 20 years.
What is the attrition cost of a Flash movie over time?
It must have,
if it takes 20 years. Like, is that $1 billion? Okay. Because it took $370 million to make it?
The number of people they had to pay to write and to sign on to direct this that then left it must have been another couple $100 million all told over the course of that 20 years.
Right, because usually for writers, it's, sort of a pay or play deal. They buy your script or they don't buy your script.
Right, but they hired on writers to write the script.
Right.
So at that point, they were paying them. They paid Zemeckis.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they paid them, and then
they paid Goyer.
Didn't matter if they wrote. They didn't matter if they wrote something or not. They got paid anyway. So they shoveling money.
Well, and comparing that to X-Men or whatever or not X-Men, sorry, Fantastic Four in the 90s, where it was like nobody's getting anything from this. We're just going to make a crappy movie.
Right, but they were like trying to go big budget. They paid Goyer, they paid Lord and Miller, they paid Zemeckis. They paid a lot of people for doing for
nothing.
Nothing. It came to nothing. Yeah,
I love this country.
So that industry.
It's like the producers. The old Bialy fucking Bloom.
Yeah. Make as much from a flop as a.
So basically, Warner Brothers gave Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison 3 weeks to write a script and said that if they didn't like it, they could turn it down.
Okay.
So, I love this. Grant Morrison described their script as a Flash story.
Good.
I mean, thanks, Grant.
Wow. I'm sold.
Hired.
They said it was more science fiction similar to Back to the Future than superhero. But anyways, they said the studio wanted to explore the multiverse and other DC characters. So, anyways, at this point, they rejected their script. But they did convince Ezra Miller to stay on, I'm assuming by dumping some more money in their lap.
Yeah, they rejected their script, but both got paid as screenwriters, I'm sure.
I'm sure, yes. At this point, the old writers left, and they hired on Christina Hodson to write it. We have spoken about Christina Hodson. She was the writer of Birds of Prey.
All right.
Just a quick refresher, she also wrote the Bumblebee Transformers film. And
what about the B movie?
She did not write the B movie.
What about Ants?
I know I ask that about every writer, but I gotta know.
Where I used to Shrek it up.
And they hired Andy Muschietti to write or to direct the film.
Which is, I feel so bad because he's awesome. He crushed the It movies.
Right, yeah. So this is our first time talking about him. He did direct, his first, he made a short film called Mama, which got bought and turned into a feature film called Mama, which was a fun horror movie.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And then he made It and It Chapter 2. Then he got hired on for The Flash, and I don't think he did a bad job here, honestly.
Well, and
I don't think so.
The same way that It looked so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was so rich and vivid sometimes, like the color palette. There were a couple of times where I was like, it's so nice to see something that's like nice to look at, and then next second it's just like smear, like blah.
With the It movies, it's he also developed those and adapted them, so like in a Frank Darabont type way. So it wasn't like he was a utility director, like it was a project and he got it all going, and he adapted it better than I think it could have. I don't know.
Yeah,
he just killed it.
Now that we're talking about it, I want to rewatch him.
Yeah,
really I watch him fairly regularly just because it's great filmmaking.
It's so good. So good. And there's moments in these movies that are just in this film that are just incredible. But
he had a committee. Obviously, there was a committee behind
him. He has been hired on by James Gunn to direct the Brave and the Bold film for the DC reboot universe.
I think he's got it in him. I think
I love the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So just a little on the filming. It started, obviously COVID happened and they had to push back everything. It started filming in the beginning of 2021 and was in production and post-production for almost all of 2021 and 2022. Obviously, during this time, there was a lot of Ezra Miller news happening. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the cast. Oh my God. All right, so the cast. Obviously, Ezra Miller is back as the Flash. Sasha Kaye as Kara Zor-El, Supergirl. I loved her in this. I thought she was great.
I like Kara Zor-El looking like a Clark Kent.
I agree with Thoreau.
Yeah.
She even had the anger that, like, you know, because her character was meant to be angry, man. But like, even when she would be like, right before she would do that Superman sort, like, she would do this pullback full of rage and then just whoosh, do that. I don't know. I really liked her a lot.
I liked her.
I hope we see her again as Supergirl.
I hope James Gunn keeps her on as Supergirl. She was really good. She deserves to play Supergirl.
Yeah, I wonder how many of these people in this movie were kind of like told, look, we need you to come in and redo this thing with us, blah, blah, blah. We will do this again in the future.
Yeah.
Consider this one of multiple movies. And then pointing to Ezra Miller being in 6 projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The only things she did prior to this was a 2017 miniseries called Socially Awkward, and she spent 3 years on The Young and the Restless. That's it.
Really?
That is it.
So she's from the soaps.
Yeah. Much like Sarah Michelle Gellar, she just came up.
She was on All My Children.
Yeah. So Young and the Restless for Sasha Kaye. Michael Shannon came back as General Zod.
It makes me so happy. That was such a fun thing to have happen in this movie.
It was.
It's a cool moment to relive. It's like the Battle of New York in game, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I like how they focused on him having a slightly different agenda because it's a different timeline, instead of giving us even more of that fateful day in Metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When everyone was there and nobody could do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least it was slightly different.
Ron Livingston plays Henry Allen in this one. He's the dude from Office Space.
Yep.
Yeah, love Ron.
Yeah, good old Ron. What was he in? Oh, he was in that show with
football thing.
That's not what I was thinking. That show with maybe from Arrested Development.
Oh, Search Party?
Search Party. Yeah, he was in that. That's what I saw.
He pops up. He's worked since Office Space steadily.
Yeah. Maribel Verdú as Nora Allen, Barry's mom.
Okay.
Yeah, she's mostly been in Italian stuff. So weird choice. Anyways, Kiersey Clemens as Iris West. She stayed on. She was hired by 3 directors ago, and she was able to stay on.
Iris West?
Yeah.
She's fine. She was fine.
She somehow stayed on through 3 directors.
Get
That's
that
crazy.
check. Get the bag.
That's like the kind of stuff you used to hear about, like De Niro or Brando. Like, the only person still attached was Brando after he got everyone hired.
We got the Zods.
She was also in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, she was in that?
That's
I don't
Iris.
remember her at all.
I don't think she speaks, but I think we see her.
Okay.
Yeah, And there's a line when she first shows up in this movie where she says, "I feel like we saw each other."
Oh, she was the one he was saving when she was in the Quicksilver sequence from Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
With the hot dog. Okay. All right. That makes
With the hot dog.
I remember the hot dog. Yeah. So we got the Zod Squad back. Michael Keaton.
Remember the hot dog.
Remember the hot dog. Michael fucking Keaton. Back as Batman. Bruce Wayne.
Remember the hot dog?
And Batman post Birdman. On my second watch through of this, all I could think was, how much fun is it for him to be Batman after having done Birdman?
I bet it's so much fun.
That's why I feel the worst about his Raw deal. Like, I wish this movie had done better because it really was a big deal to see 89 Batman back in action.
All of that stuff, every time it happened, I felt like a squealy little girl.
Yeah, I definitely did. It was an awesome adventure of that Batman.
Like
yes, it was mostly Flash, but like it was great to see him do it again.
You know what though? Not to say like I don't care that he didn't get money, but I really feel like what does Batman say at the end? He's like, "No, you made me a superhero again," or whatever.
Yeah, he was redeemed.
I wonder how much of Michael Keaton is just like, fuck yeah, I'm just glad I got to be Batman again. I was waiting for this opportunity.
Don't get me wrong. I don't feel bad that it didn't make more money for him. I just like, what a triumphant return that really got swept.
He was really.
What were you gonna say, Thrill?
I was just gonna say, Brian, you're a few years younger than us, so I don't but that was our 12-year-old Batman, and it was the first DC. EU.
I mean,
that's
my Batman too. I was like 5.
Yeah. So, absolutely. Like, it was incredible. Of course, we also, let's start running through this. Ben Affleck as Batman. George Clooney as Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I do too.
Everybody was pissed.
I knew nothing about it until I saw it, and I laughed out loud.
This movie only missed 2 Batmen, Val Kilmer and Christian Bale.
Oh, they might get Val Kilmer. They'll never get Christian Bale.
No, they'll never get Christian Bale. Jeremy Irons is back as Alfred. Tamara Morrison back as Tom Curry. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Swarsay, Monica Jackson, and Rudy Mancuso as Patty Spivot and Albert Desmond, who are comic book characters. They were his co-workers at the forensics lab.
Yeah.
And Sanjeev Bhaskar as his boss.
Patty is in both realities, right? She's the roommate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't care enough.
And Albert Desmond as the dude that was playing the right?
The boyfriend. And he was playing the keyboard. Yeah. In the regular universe, they work with them and they're rather studious or have their shit together. In the alternate universe, they seem like total burnouts, you know. But same characters.
Luke Brandon Field was Al Falcone. In a cameo, Nicolaj Coster-Waldau was the dude that he stole the pizza from.
Why? No one knows.
Yeah. Andy Muschietti was the guy that he stole the hot dog from in this movie. Carl Collins was his lawyer. Let's see. And making CGI cameos.
Okay, you're gonna do it? All right.
Yeah, CGI cameos. Henry Cavill, who actually showed up and shot footage for this movie that was cut.
Jesus Christ. This is why they're striking.
Yeah. Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang. He was in there.
Yeah.
That he's a Flash nemesis, right?
Yes,
Classic Flash nemesis.
Yep, like Captain Cold, as you mentioned earlier.
His greatest weakness being shot from behind, I guess.
Well, and your skill to beat your arch nemesis, who can go faster than the speed of sound, is a boomerang.
Yeah.
I bet he can go faster than the speed of a boomerang.
It's fair. He's gonna have a really quiet boomerang. Yeah, I don't get it at all. I'm very confused by it, but I would like to see that.
And
fight.
how do you rise to the rank of captain in this boomerang hobby?
Nicolas Cage as Superman. He showed up and did motion capture for it. So
wow,
it certainly doesn't look like it.
No, because the
looks
CGI
wholly
is
computer
not
generated.
done. They didn't finish the CGI.
Which existed in no real universe. It's just that, what was it, John Peters?
Well,
Kevin Smith tells the story. He tells the story the best, but other people tell the story.
Kevin Smith wrote it. Tim Burton signed on to direct it. Nicolas Cage as Superman. He did costume tests. There was it went into.
Oh, I know all about that. I mean the spider.
The spider. Yes,
that was a John Peters thing that they wouldn't let go of. He wouldn't.
It wound up in Wild Wild West instead.
Yeah.
Yep. He finally did it.
That was some real fun inside baseball stuff. Having him fighting the giant spider.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if this movie had done better and had a bigger audience, I think more people would have been excited for that. Yeah, because that is a pop culture lost media kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Not lost. It doesn't exist. But.
Yeah.
No, but like that urban legend, story that's still like Brando wanting to be a suitcase.
Yeah,
as Jor-El.
Exactly. So, all right, we have Christopher Reeve as Superman. Helen Slater as Supergirl. Adam West as Batman. They used the audio from both Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson in this.
I was gonna say,
their voices were in this.
The laughter of both. Yeah.
Eartha Kitt's Catwoman voice was in this. Apparently, I didn't catch it, but okay.
You think they got checks?
I mean,
I don't know, because again, this is one of the cruxes of the protest.
A lot of these people, the checks would have gone to
their
the estate. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
because I think Eartha Kitt passed away a couple of years ago.
I'm sure they had to have gone.
Cesar Romero passed away a couple of years.
They had to pay.
But I don't know. That's the legal sort of quagmire, is that they own the characters and the images. But is that legal? I think that's what the quandary is right now.
This is interesting to point to this movie too as an example of that. It's ghoulish. It truly is. It's
really
seeing Christopher Reeves and what's her face,
Helen Slater. She's still alive though.
But just using them again. It's weird. It's different than the Luke Skywalker reappearing thing, which had this reverence to, where people were like, "Oh, it's a secret" and all this stuff.
Because
this is just
because Mark Hamill was on set acting, and they just de-aged him.
They're just squeezing their likenesses out of a tube, it feels
but that's the legality is, like I said, curious at best. They own the character and they own the images they took of the actor as that character.
I'm sorry. Speaking, brief tangent spoilers for the newest episode of Ahsoka. Brian and Al, have you both watched it?
Of course I've watched it.
Yes? So,
yes.
Anybody,
pretty sure I'm up to date.
Anybody listening, you might want to skip ahead a minute or two. Speaking of de-aged Skywalkers, that was a nightmarish vision.
Well, I think they did it for a reason, however bad it looks. I think.
Was it Anakin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hayden Christensen, But
Annie.
That de-aging looked terrible. Terrible.
De-aging is tough. They have not gotten that one down yet.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled program.
It's like a reverse uncanny. It's not that they look almost too human. They look almost too cartoon.
Yeah.
The other way.
Jay Garrick was played by editor Jason Ballantyne. Good for him.
Yeah. All right.
That's about it on this production. The film has a 63% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 83% audience score. Not that low.
No, not that low, but I get the audience part. I get it this time, Rotten Tomatoes wise. Like, I could see how, from a critic's point of view, not as much. But as a fan, there's a lot of fan things I liked.
Yeah.
Not as a person objectively watching filmmaking, but as a fan.
Yeah.
It was giddy to see Nicolas Cage do that after hearing this story for so long.
It was a little thrilled to see that on screen.
Yeah. Looked kind of but it's fun to see.
It looked like a 2012 video game cutscene.
Well, and again,
all of the stuff in the Chronosphere seemed video gamey.
That is a stylistic choice, is what.
Was it?
That's
it
what
just
they
looked
said.
Unfinished. It looked
said they
bad.
chose to make it look that way.
Oh, that was a bad choice.
Buy that, but yeah,
a very bad choice.
Yeah, whether or not that was an economically driven choice or not,
I think they're lying about that, Brian.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
They might
don't believe them. I'm not getting hoodwinked. I'm just saying that they said
but,
that.
I mean,
and it made
maybe
me laugh.
things look different in the Chronosphere until you enter that point in time.
Yeah. They opted for the PlayStation 3 version of their video editing program.
Yeah.
Did anybody hear what I said? I froze for a moment.
What'd you say, Josh?
I froze for a moment, so I was wondering maybe they look less realistic in the Chronosphere, but then when you enter that particular point in time, it becomes a real.
I mean, I get that, but
that's
what
I
one
assumed.
theory. I haven't read that. I'm not even saying they did that. But.
And that the Chronosphere answers a lot of my questions later on in the movie because I have more questions.
I have
time travel logic that makes sense.
So many questions. Okay, so I have a few Letterboxd reviews here. Noah Whitaker writes, "The trash," half a star.
Ooh, clever.
David Jen writes, "An action-packed, crowd-pleasing, and ultimately moving story about one man's quest to undo the unthinkable tragedy of the ending of A Man of Steel."
Half a star?
4 stars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Still upset about Man of Steel.
The dude writes, "The first movie completely rendered in Unreal Engine."
Unreal Engine?
5 stars.
1 star.
Oh.
And my favorite, the stylist on set actually had a really interesting method of switching Ezra's hair length between long and short. Google Ezra Miller grooming to find out more.
Oh.
Wow.
Trickery.
3 stars. That's all I got here, guys. Are we ready to jump into the movie?
Yeah, we got to. I mean, I think.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is The Flash. We open in a cafe. Chicago's playing. Barry Allen wants a sandwich, but the usual girl is out and the new guy's slow. Barry gets a call from Alfred to help save a hospital that was something superhero bad stuff. He runs there.
A hospital robbery gone wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what about the hundreds of other people that were still inside the building that weren't babies or that one nurse? There was a second nurse there.
She was trapped because the door was locked.
Yeah.
Everybody else had safely evacuated.
But no.
Yeah,
there were people on the other
evacuated.
side of the door. They did not have time to run out of that building.
No, they safely
correct.
evacuated. They're fine. They're just sleeping, Thoreau.
It was just the
movie's
east wing that was
PG-13.
falling.
Yeah.
The rest of the other wings were fine.
The second tower didn't fall.
Yeah. No, I mean, Building 7, I don't know what you're talking about.
I was going to say, what about Hospital 7?
Yeah.
How did that fall?
I assume they were in the elevator shaft or something at that point because they ran away once the building started to collapse. You see them
So
considering what's coming, we don't need to assume anything.
Right. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. So he runs there.
Right before he runs there was probably my most uncomfortable moment in the movie.
When the teenage girls?
Well, the way that he poses first to run, like sticking his sticking one leg like perfectly horizontal. Just that
Like
pose was. It's like, why does he have to pose like that?
The FTD
Like the FTD florist logo. And then the teenage girls run up. It's like, oh, Flash, I love you. It's like, okay.
They should have cut that from.
We went there.
And they opened with it. They interrupted the opening title sequence. With
Yep.
it.
I didn't write them all down, but there are a few lines in the script that are a little too on the nose for Ezra to be delivering. I wish I had written them down, but there were at least 3 times, including the one Al mentioned, where it was just like,
the mental health care thing.
Yeah.
You seem very nice also.
Yeah, the mental health thing. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. So, well, and him hiding, him showing up to like essentially kidnap himself. It's like when he like holding himself captive. Like that's
the dual identities.
He's 18 now, so it's not as questionable, I guess, if you're a younger man.
Yeah. So, anyways, he gets a call to save the hospital. He runs there while Batman chases the robbers who stole a virus that'll destroy humanity or something. He helps a bunch of babies. He saves a lot of babies, puts a baby in a microwave. I understand that's, the joke, but also it's...
People were very upset about this. I wasn't so upset about it as I was just like, this is stupid. This whole sequence is so stupid.
I was offended by the ridiculousness, not the baby in a microwave.
I understand this was supposed to be like a funny sequence of him saving people, but also like the bait. Okay, this is outside the chronosphere, and this looks terrible.
I think that this was supposed to be the credits sequence because we see it as the credits. And I think that they were like, we need to do something to fill that front half of the movie. Let's do that. After they decided to put Batman and Wonder Woman in it, like in that, because this movie is clearly just like piecemeal, like patched together.
Yeah. It's been cut to pieces and put back together, Frankenstein style.
Slow-mo moving everything at the speed of what have you, it just looks so weak, especially if you compare it to like the 2 times we saw Quicksilver do it in the X-Men movies, especially in Days of Future Past when he's in that kitchen. Like it looked way better and was way cooler. And then they spend so much time on this sequence with the Flash and the babies and I need something to eat first. And
I like the I need something to eat first thing, but this sequence is just entirely too long, way too convoluted, has way too many moving parts, and looks like shit the whole time. We're off to a very bad start.
Very bad start.
When I saw, I'm just going to admit to my crimes. I watched a terrible bootleg of this. That's
the first time I watched it.
Yeah, and I remember watching it and thinking, I guess this is interesting. But seeing it in HD, it's so absolutely unforgivably bad.
Well, and they're infants. He could have easily grabbed them all.
Well, no, that was
this
the thing.
Elaborate fucking.
That's what they say later. You can't move people too much because it like later on he moves himself and makes himself puke. All of that stuff.
Yeah,
that's why he's just barely tapping and bringing things to them.
Is that why he can't carry people? He can't carry people when he's running.
That's the reasoning there. Yeah.
Okay, that answers a few questions I had.
He can't carry them too fast.
Yeah, exactly, because it makes them sick and
and
they might catch fire.
Yeah, the friction, but he must be able to move. Never mind.
They might actually catch fire because he's somehow fire retardant or fireproof.
The costume is.
Yeah. I mean, like, but so is his hair. Like his eyebrows don't burn off.
Yeah. Sure.
Even when he's like running around his house.
So he can't actually save people. He can move things out of the way
to save them, but he can't just grab them and run. Yeah. Anyways, he rejoins Batman, who's stopped the robbery. We get a Wonder Woman cameo. We get the bit with the lasso of truth.
Batman admitting that he can, fight poverty by,
fight
crime by fighting poverty.
Yes.
Right. He could do more work as Bruce Wayne than he does as Batman.
Yeah.
Just what we've been saying for decades.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that we got this use of the lasso of truth. And just
it was cute.
Wonder Woman stepping in and out, maintaining her like dominance over the entire Justice League.
Batman smiling at her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, hi.
This
He's smitten.
I don't know what's coming in the Aquaman sequel, but this could very well be the last time Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck appear on screen as Wonder Woman or Batman.
Yeah. It was a cute moment.
Also in the scene, Barry admits to his virginity.
Yep, he's a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
I know sex exists. I've just never experienced it.
So he
not even as Splash, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He goes back to the cafe where his sandwich is finally ready. He goes to work at the crime lab. He gets in trouble with his boss for being late.
He ran back and forth between Central City and Gotham City and did all that stuff, and the sandwich was just being finished when he got back.
Yeah, no, that dude is slow and is bad at his job.
It went on too long for that sequence to be as funny as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it felt
they
weird.
Did show us the distance, which had been confusing between Capital. Also, his boss is the guy we were talking about last week, and we were trying to figure out. Anyway, he's the guy that was Toofs.
Oh, that's Toofs. Yeah. Okay.
And he was also Kane in the Sandman.
Okay.
That guy.
I kind of glossed over him in the production stuff, but all right, nice. So he leaves work. He's met by the girl he went to college with and had a crush on. She's now a reporter. She asks about his father, who's imprisoned for the murder of his mother. He gets upset and leaves her.
So is he a resident forensic pathologist, or is he a gopher? Because in the argument, they sort of bring up he's just there to get coffees.
But then he's doing work. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. He's both, neither. Who cares?
Both is not unusual. You're right, but it's just funny.
Yeah, he's the forensic scientist that always gets stuck getting the coffees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get lowest on the totem pole because he's constantly late.
Well, and he hasn't cracked a case.
Yeah. He goes home, talks to his dad in prison. We discover that there's a newly cleaned up piece of footage from his dad in the supermarket the day his mom was killed that could exonerate him, but his dad never shows his face on camera.
It was cleaned up by Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah.
It was Bruce that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Barry revisits his childhood home. We get a flashback of the day that his mom died.
And he's on the phone with his dad during it.
Yeah.
It's weird. He like calls his dad and like switches to his suit and is doing all these things.
It does kind of work though if you think about it. Like these emotional triggers become overwhelming that he just needs to run away and not get away from this place, but just run. I just have to run this off.
Yeah.
This feeling.
They just lean really hard into building up these emotional stakes with conversation and like exposition. It's interesting how much like talky feeling-y this movie is.
So much talky feeling.
It's a very emotional movie.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. It's interesting though, like the dad like talking him through it. Batman talking him through it.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, and the thing is Ezra Miller's not bad at this. Like the performance isn't bad.
The performance is good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Actually,
it's objectively good and enjoyable.
It's probably his best one because when you start seeing older Barry dealing with younger Barry and addressing the things that were annoying for us with younger Barry, you know, like you're not funny. It's not cute. You know, you're abrasive. These are things we thought about his performance. And so it is kind of nuanced for him to finally realize how annoying his younger self is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays on some shit. He doesn't do a bad job by any means. He's just a terrible human being.
Yeah.
He's a great Barry Allen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and let's be clear that the absolute debacle that was the box office of this movie, it was the final nail in the coffin of this person's career.
Yes, that's true.
This person is now in movie jail and will probably not come back.
Because he won't be able to stop being the weirdo that they are.
They'll make a movie with Shia at some point.
Shia has it more together than that dude does.
Yeah.
That person. Yeah. Anyways.
So, we see his dad goes to the grocery store to get tomatoes that she forgot to buy, leaving her in the kitchen. He returns just as she gets stabbed to death by someone.
At some point, they mentioned that this is her regular weekly routine, the making of the sauce and the pasta. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would just have tomatoes on hand if I made the
She
same
buys
dish every
one
week.
can at a time, obviously. Like any Italian mother does. She buys one can at a time.
One at a time.
That's how it stays fresh.
In the can. So
I studied under Chef Boyardee. Yeah.
He gets overcome with emotion, starts running, and accidentally uses the Speed Force to enter the chronosphere and travel back in time. He does nothing in the past at this time.
Well, because he's just discovered he could do it.
Yeah. Justice League, he travels back in time just a few moments.
Just a moment, yeah.
And this, he reaches the chronosphere and can travel back in time further.
Because Bruce tells him a little bit later, he's finally run faster than the speed of light. He could always run faster than the speed of sound and a little bit faster than that. But Bruce deduces he's finally run faster than the speed of light, so therefore he's tapped into that, to the timeline of
the Speed Force.
The Speed Force that gets him into the way time moves, which is faster than the speed of light, I guess.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for somebody to say, like the Speed Force, and for someone to respond, we're not calling it that.
Yeah. No, not that.
Back in the present, he talks to Bruce Wayne, who tells him there could be unintended consequences from time travel. He meets up with Iris, and they go to his place to have a beer. She apologizes for bringing up his dad, and at that point, Barry realizes that if his mom didn't forget the tomatoes, his dad could have been home and stopped the murder.
The beer gag worked.
Yeah,
the beer gag.
That scene worked really well. I thought that was.
Well, and she's apologizing for using him.
Yeah.
Like that. At first, she was just reconnecting with him to get a good story on his dad.
On my second watch through, I thought to myself, this movie really just needed the court scene, the Iris West scene, her coming to apologize again, and then him traveling into the future. The whole Batman, Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman chase hospital thing just stops this movie in its tracks.
It's 20 minutes of runtime that was not necessary.
Yeah, just more of Batman on the Bat Cycle.
And this is what, 144 is the runtime?
It's just
like 2 hours, 22 minutes.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's long. It's a long film. So he leaves Iris in his apartment, heads back to the day of Nora's death with the Speed Force, Chronosphere, blah, blah, blah. Puts the can of tomatoes in her cart so that his father does not leave the house. But while returning to the present, he gets knocked out of the Speed Force by another unknown interdimensional guy.
Purple lightning instead of blue.
Yes.
What does it mean?
He ends up in an alternate 2013 where Nora is alive. He has dinner with his parents, but then 2013 Barry arrives. He goes and contacts past Barry and they hang out. He tells him blah, 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 all the stuff. And then he realizes that this is the day that he originally obtained his powers.
He just sees the rain. He's like, oh, it's raining outside. What day is it? It never rains here in Central City.
Iris foreshadowed this when they were in the apartment. She was talking about how his mother's death inspired him to go into criminal forensics. And so now in new 2013, his parents haven't died. What is he majoring in college?
Yeah.
Not forensics, because he's not he's not interning at the crime lab.
Yeah, we don't know.
He could just be gen ed credits at this point.
Yeah.
He's still kind of young. He's just in college. He's just in college.
Yeah. So then, in order to make sure his past self gains superpowers, the two Barrys go to the Central City Police Department, where they reenact the events that enforces 2013 Barry to position himself to be struck by lightning. However, they both end up getting struck by lightning, giving 2013 Barry powers, but taking regular Barry's powers away.
It's just so funny. It doesn't matter, but just like, come on.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. Like, I guess.
It makes the lightning seem a little sentient.
It kind of does. They go back to Past Barry's apartment, where Past Barry plays around with his new powers, causing trouble. He causes a blackout in the city.
Burns his clothes off because he doesn't know about that.
Yeah. We get all the naked hijinks. He returns back to the apartment and falls asleep. Barry starts training Past Barry, and it's difficult. Then we see that Zod arrives on Earth.
I can't remember when we missed it, but I found it very humorous when older Barry tries to run, and we just see him running like a normal person, exaggeratingly.
Yeah.
He's not running like a normal person.
No, he's running the way that
flopping his limbs around.
He's running the way Flash runs,
squeaky.
but just slow.
Low, like a kid playing the Flash with his squeaky sneakers on a basketball court.
Yeah.
Sound. I don't know. That was amusing. I was like, okay, that's genuinely good because he looks very perplexed and he's trying to run.
Yeah.
And slamming himself against the wall, trying to phase through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Back at his apartment, we meet his roommates, his friends from the crime lab.
He's trying to contact, I think it was before we meet his roommates. He's trying to contact the Justice League, but Diana hasn't shown up yet. Victor Stone isn't Cyborg yet.
Right.
Thomas Curry, he calls Thomas Curry, and Aquaman was never born.
Yep.
No.
Arthur is his dog.
Arthur's his dog.
Yeah.
And then we have which I think is very, very clever, especially because of the way the Hulk explained it in Endgame. But, so like Bruce told him, we're going on the Back to the Future principle of time travel, where if you go back, you can mess up the future. It doesn't create a new present. And they illustrate that by having Eric Stoltz be Marty McFly.
Mm-hmm.
So they use the Back to the Future rules and the example of how that, I don't know, very cleverly done. The example they use is Back to the Future.
And I looked up, on a whim, I looked up Eric Stoltz filmography.
He was supposed to be.
On IMDb, he was Marty McFly number 3, uncredited. So uncredited?
He was supposed to be.
He was the original Marty McFly.
They
shot most
shots of him in the movie that made it into the final cut with him, like back and shoulder.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
On YouTube, you can see the entire mall sequence of him and Doc acting. The entire mall sequence. Robert Zemeckis thought he wasn't doing it and fired him and hired on Michael J. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
It was generally agreed with the cast and crew that he was taking it too dramatically and not comedic enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they had been working to get Michael J. Fox behind the scenes for a while.
Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah, he opened up. He was doing some television thing. I forget.
Yeah.
Family Ties.
Family Ties. Yeah. There was conflict, but he made it work. He worked like 26-hour days.
Yeah,
man.
he said he would get in the back of a van, leaving Family Ties, and sleep in the van on the way to the set of Back to the Future.
And just another little awesome J. Fox. He didn't have a phone when he was starting out, so his phone was at the Pioneer Chicken stand, and that's how he got Family Ties. Nice. Somebody ran up to his apartment.
Oh, that's awesome.
So in this universe, Michael J. Fox was in Footloose, and Kevin Bacon was Maverick in Top Gun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I completely broke the universe.
All reasonable shuffling.
Yeah, completely. Yep. So that he does learn, though, that Batman still exists. So they go to Wayne Manor, hoping to find Bruce. They get attacked by old long-haired Bruce. Eventually, they placate him enough and end up having a spaghetti dinner. in which Bruce explains that it's that you can affect the past too prior to when you went to the past. So it's a big, messy, squiggly bowl of pasta, the timelines. It's not as simple as the Marvel ones because your events affect even the past that before you went to them.
I like that.
Yeah, and the inevitable
It's a mess.
intersections.
Yeah.
The fulcrum idea of time travel
Mm-hmm.
Right. That there's a point and then things split from
versus
there.
branch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, the effects don't necessarily like ripple out, but you can step across the little connecting lines on the ripples.
Right.
It's crazy.
So Bruce says he's retired and not interested in helping them. Gotham.
Pass.
Yeah. Gotham's one of the safest places in the country, safest cities to live in.
Yeah, in the world.
Yeah.
In the world. And it probably is in that point. But yeah, the mansion's fallen into disarray.
I loved
I
loved that this was the same kitchen he was in with Vicky Vale in the 1989 Batman.
Yep. I thought about that as well.
Yeah. They
actually, and then there's that trophy room of all the different warriors.
Yeah.
That Robert Wool and Kim Basinger were in.
Yes.
We see that room.
So they go, the Barrys go into the Bat Cave. Older Barrys searching for Superman on the Bat computer. We get the Batmobile reveal, which they never drive in the Batmobile, but they're like, well, we have to have it.
This was one of those moments that I liked in this movie where he's doing the research and saying things like, yeah, he's got a back door to NASA, whatever. Like, Barry is a forensics thinking minded person, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Recall from the comics, Barry Allen is supposed to be a genius level intellect.
Not so in these movies.
Yeah, no. I mean, but so he's searching for Superman on the Bat computer while younger Barry just kind of explores the Bat Cave. He finds the Joker laughing
I love
bag.
that it's a bat computer, like it's bat repellent, bat shark spray, bat shark repellent.
Well, I loved that the kite he used was a bat kite. There was no reason for the kite to be bat shaped.
That's a beautiful little detail.
Yeah. No, I loved the bat things in the Bat Cave. So he talks to Bruce on the intercom and convinces Bruce to return as Batman and help them find Kal-El. They locate a Kryptonian pod, which was reportedly discovered in Siberia. They fly there in the Bat plane, which is not quite the same Bat plane as in the movie, but an updated version.
Updated Batwing.
The Batwing, yeah.
Well, and it's a VTOL craft too, so
Yeah.
it takes off vertically. Yeah, it was. I want to say this about the Batman stuff because it's Tim Burton's Batman. It's that same Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a cool, delicate balance of like, this is Batman after all of that. He's retired, so he reached some technological peak and then retired because Gotham is safe. But it's still like late 90s level of technology.
Mm-hmm.
And the prop people did an incredible job with the bat, like the interior of the Batwing in particular. I was like, this is like 5-10 years before the Nolan Batman. Like, it's not to that level of like modern boxiness.
Yeah.
The way the ejector seats worked.
Yeah.
In stages.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, all of the Batman stuff, the design, that just I really loved
it.
All
Was
the Batman.
So exciting. It was like that Indiana Jones spiel of like, ooh, we get another adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Like we get another that Batman adventure.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It was very exciting all the way through.
And it was awesome seeing Michael Keaton be a badass Batman. Like, he still fights. He can still be Batman.
This is going to hurt.
Right.
Okay, Batman. Jesus. Well, and the girl knows him because he says, I am Batman.
Yeah.
He's the same Batman. He's never changed.
Yeah. And he says, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. He does a few of the
I hated that.
catchphrases.
I hated that line.
It was a bad.
That's not a thing. That's not what Batman says. That's what Bruce Wayne says.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a Batman thing. Stupid for Batman to say that. Batman doesn't say shit like that. He just kills you on accident.
So we're flying to Siberia.
They fly to Siberia in the bat plane. They have to parachute down. They sneak into the facility. There's hijinks with the Russians.
On the facility, obviously it was a symbol of Russian iconography, but it has the giant red star that Superman had in Superman Red Sun.
Oh yeah.
There was a little bit of an homage to the Red Sun thing here.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, like a red star is a communist symbol, a Russian symbol, but it made me think of that immediately. Like, what if he crashed in Russia?
Yeah.
Which apparently she did.
We already got through Barry Jr. running through Central City, right? And catching on fire to that needle drop. Did we mention that that's an homage to Superman 2? The chaos in the streets?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Was it? Like you froze for a second. What needle drop?
So the We Are Young, whatever thing where Barry Jr. is running through the streets and all his clothes are catching on fire and it's fun. But once he crashes,
that's All Right by Supergrass.
Yeah. The truck spins over and like instruments fall out and people are falling over on the streets. It's just like that scene in Superman 2.
Okay,
where everybody's getting blown away and the roller skates and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I
the Rube Goldberg nature of the disaster.
Shit just keeps, and it's noisy. Like,
Yeah, I hadn't thought about any of that. That's interesting.
This movie made attempts to do like homages almost more so than Easter eggs.
Yeah,
which is I thought neat.
Yeah, definitely.
But it still sucked at doing that.
Yeah, no, it was still ultimately a bad movie. Anyways, they get in, they find that instead of Kal-El, it's a girl. Barry decides they need to rescue her anyways. They make it out onto the roof of the facility, fight their way off. There was that homage to 89 Batman where he asks how much they weigh.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. With the measuring tape and everything.
I think you're a little more than 115. Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, and Barry being quick with the math, being like, both of us are 180, and she's got to be what I don't remember what he says.
Yeah, but
what does a super person weigh? They've got to be denser than us.
I mean, because he's not a big guy, so 180, that's probably on the high end for someone that size. Yeah.
He's a lot bigger than he was in Justice League. I was surprised how much bigger they got in this movie. I was like, wow.
They definitely worked out. Yeah, they definitely worked out for it. So yeah, they make it onto the roof, and where they discover that the girl has Superman powers because she gets in the sun. And I loved how hardcore she went against the Russians. This was no Superman disable them.
Win.
She was murdering them.
No, she's murdering her torturers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and she says that later. Like, she talks about being captive.
Mm-hmm.
That's her only experience of Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't know why she should save humans because humans have been nothing but bad to her. So they get back to Gotham. She recovers her strength, tells Barry she was sent there to protect Kal-El, but she lost him on the journey to Earth. She doesn't want to help humanity, blah, blah, blah. They imprisoned her. At this point, Bruce tries to help Barry get his powers back by recreating the original accident. This is kind of a Frankenstein homage at this point.
Yeah, it does, especially when she brings him up to the lightning storm.
Yeah.
But the logic is so dubious. So anyone could become the Flash if they. I know the logic of the whole movie is dubious, but that's all it takes. The circumstances weren't, like the electricity in the air, the temperature.
No. You just need the same chemicals and lightning.
And lightning.
Yeah.
You too could be a Flash.
I called this the Ben Frankenstein kite mechanism.
Yes. Yes.
The Ben Frankenstein.
Or would it be Ben Franklinstein?
Franklinstein. Yeah.
Franklinstein.
You could, like the Abraham Lincoln bounty hunter or some vampire hunter.
Oh, yeah. Ben Franklinstein.
Dude, I'll read it.
Yeah. It's all you, man. She takes him up, gets him his powers back. Past Barry makes a new Flash suit out of a spare bat suit. And at this point learns that his mom died in the timeline.
This is one of the cutting the earpieces off the bat suit was one of the funniest little edits in this whole movie. Just stopping all this triumphant shit for it got me every time I watched it.
Yeah, no, that was funny. So she decided humanity was worth saving, blah blah blah. They go to fight Zod and the Zod squad. During the battle, Kara goes up against Zod personally and discovers that he intercepted Kal-El's escape pod and killed him as a baby during a failed attempt to retrieve the codex needed to repopulate the Kryptonian species. He tells her the codex is actually inside her, and they fight. The Barrys fight, Batman fights. She dies when Zod kills her, obtaining the codex, while Batman sacrifices himself in an unsuccessful attempt to destroy Zod's ship when his ejection seat stops working.
I like the Kara twist.
Yeah,
I think it was cool.
Yeah,
because it's an alternate universe, and they are paired to each other, Superman and Supergirl. I think that's great.
Yeah,
is she Superwoman or is she Supergirl?
They don't say. I don't know.
You guys should be.
They don't say.
Calling her Superwoman. I don't know.
They just call her Kara.
But I loved everything with her. I loved everything with Michael Keaton. There was a really good 90-minute movie in the middle of this thing.
I loved all the Chronosphere stuff. It looked cheesy as fuck, but it plucked the right strings in me.
I watched
seeing all those former Superman and Batman.
I watched this with my friend who's not big on superhero movies, and we got to forget where we were. They walked into the Batcave and they go, "What the fuck was the beginning of this movie? Why did it start like that?" We're in the Batcave and we're just like, why didn't it just start like this?
Right? Well, and it's funny because I made Jude watch it with me, and Jude was not wanting to see it, and it was like, he was like, "I'll just look at my phone the whole time," and he didn't. He watched the whole thing. He was like,
"The kids are all right."
Yeah,
it captivated me.
At the beginning, he was like, "Wow, this is like it." He was just wrapped with how terrible it was, and then by the middle, he was like, "Well, this is all much more fun than I thought it was going to be."
It could have started way different. Just him saving a situation and then going into the father stuff.
It could have been
instead, it's like a classic Batman opening.
It was 20 minutes with all of the Justice League. It could have been a 5-minute action sequence.
It's 20 minutes of fucking brand synergy.
Yep.
And it's like obviously brand synergy. And by the time it came out, the DCEU was doomed. None of this made sense.
It didn't matter. We didn't need it. They should have cut it.
Yeah, it should. It literally should not have made. There should have been a deleted scene that people wanted to buy the DVD, or like, we'll play it again in the movie theaters with the scene with Batman and Wonder Woman. If you guys come and see it this time.
Well, it could have started with the same thing with the sandwich shop, and then he gets alerted by someone of having to rescue maybe a helicopter hanging off a building, like the previous Superman movie or something. And then Barry has to take care of it. Not Barry has to go to Gotham. Barry has to help Batman capture a Batman villain.
I would love
a Batman-esque chase
to be used by Batman. You know, like, I need you to do this. Like getting Alfred, the like weird third degree thing was weird to me too. But yeah.
Right.
So Barry realizes that this sequence of events can't be changed, but 2013 Barry keeps trying. They keep going back in time to try to stop it, save Batman and save Kara, but they keep dying. 2013 Barry keeps going back and back, and he keeps getting more stuff stuck in him. Every time he goes.
Well, that's semi-intentional because the only thing that can really penetrate or hurt a Kryptonian is the material that's from Krypton.
Kryptonian
you know what I mean?
metal. Yeah.
So he gets the one piece stuck in him at first and realizes he can cut.
He kills Mistress Murder.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is one of those sequences towards the end where I did not like how they did it. I like the fight. I like all that stuff. The time travel part of this is the weakest part of the climax of this movie.
Well,
it all falls apart.
It became too easy to do.
It did.
Like I would have bought it if it had been done like once or twice.
Well,
but it was
honestly,
like,
if he keeps doing it into the future, which I understand and all that, we should have seen. I honestly think we should have seen more instances of other younger Barry Jr. running away, and him being like, it's getting easier to do, or something like that. Or I'm trying this time. I finally got the big guy to die before, and explain what he's doing as he comes back.
And maybe change the environment to just reinforce that, every time you go back and do something, something's changed. So at one point he could have returned and maybe the sun was yellow. No, it is yellow. Maybe the sun was blue or gray. Do you know what I mean? These environmental changes, it doesn't have to be dramatic, but
little
he gets
ripples
to pop in and out and nothing's affected.
Exactly.
But this whole thing, it was just shot in a green screen.
Yeah, in a desert, away from everything else that you would use.
Well, that too. But even when he starts going back and back, we don't see all that. We just see regular Barry standing in the middle of the chronosphere in a completely CGI environment, and other Barry keeps just coming back over and over,
popping back and forth. Yeah.
Which is I feel like that's a reshoot.
And nothing changes. He just
100%.
keeps, going back. But nothing changes, even though we had been taught that things do change.
Yeah. So eventually the unknown speedster who originally knocked him out of the Speed Force returns. It's revealed to be old 2013 Barry.
Young Barry.
Yeah, old young Barry, who still believes
Barry Jr.
Yeah, he can defeat Zod and save Batman and Kara. He gets mad when regular Barry reveals that he's going to reverse the changes he made to the timeline. He tries to kill old Barry. Old Barry tries to kill regular Barry, but instead,
regular Barry tries to explain to young Barry that that's one of those inevitable intersections. Kara has to die. There's nothing they can do about it.
Exactly.
Your timeline is doomed. And it's interesting because Barry Jr. is falling in love with Kara. I think that's how they were, the subtext is that he's got a huge crush on her.
Exactly. Right. Just like regular Barry does on Wonder Woman. He's into these strong women. But So 2013 Barry ends up sacrificing himself to save regular Barry and wipes his future self out of the timeline.
And then lemon scented Barry comes out of nowhere. It's regular Barry.
Yeah. Barry goes back to the supermarket where his mom forgot the canned tomatoes and changes it back. He talks to his mom, comes to terms with her death, but then, at that moment, he realizes he can still affect the future. And he puts the tomato cans on a higher shelf, returns to the present. We find out he puts the tomato cans on a higher shelf when we see the video later, but, goes to his father's retrial where the video gets shown looking up while he grabs the tomatoes. The security camera sees his face. He is exonerated. Leaving the courtroom, Barry gets contacted by Batman, who arrives, and it's now George Clooney.
So the timeline is still a little different.
Yes. Just a little.
It's even worse.
It's even worse. Yeah. So this is a timeline where Chris O'Donnell was Batman, or was Robin.
That's true. Yeah. I love that it's Homer, going back and forth trying to correct his reality.
With the toaster?
And then, but then at the end, close enough. They have the lizard tongues. Yeah. They eat with the tongue.
Close enough. In a post-credits scene, he's just explaining the effects on a timeline to Arthur Curry, who is drunk, and it doesn't really do anything.
I liked his nickname for him, Bro Sidon.
Yeah.
That is clever.
That is.
Yeah. Jason Momoa is so charismatic, and even in that, I was like, dude, you're shining light into a black hole here, pal.
Yeah, it is.
And all he's doing is rolling around in a puddle.
Yes. That is The Flash. Unanswered questions. Who killed his mom and why?
I didn't have an answer.
Iris West, because she was really wanting a story.
Yeah, that's true. They never do explain who broke into their house so quickly, killed her, and left.
Just
it's
a person.
Not Barry Allen, right?
No,
it's just a person.
It was just a person who dad's car wasn't there, so they thought the house was empty and broke in.
And they were going to rob it on a random afternoon in the middle of the day while the neighborhood was full of neighbors.
Or they were going to assault her. right? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Why was his mom an Italian immigrant? I mean, that's a like there are Italian immigrants who marry Americans, but it was a weirdly specific choice.
You know what?
She was represented as
sure?
She was represented as either Mexican or Spanish in this.
Yeah, I assumed it.
She
seemed
spoke
more
Spanish.
Latina.
Oh, so she wasn't Italian? I thought because she was making pasta.
Speaking Spanish, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, see,
maybe it was Italian, but
She's an Italian actress, as we found out.
I was gonna say maybe she got killed by the mob.
Italian and Spanish are very, very close. Yeah, La Cosa Nostra.
Yeah, it was just a weirdly specific choice that didn't have a real reason. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just weird. So his dad was clearly wearing the same clothes and hat in the video. I believe that probably would have been enough for reasonable doubt for a lot of juries, even if they didn't see his face.
Well, and also they're having the trial how many years later?
I got the idea this
that's because new evidence.
It's an appeal.
It's an
appeal.
It's an appeal. That's right. Yeah, he got the unscrambled.
You can't be
Yeah. So, I guess if the DCEU continued in its current form, George Clooney would just be Batman now? If they hadn't rebooted?
No,
Yes.
I think that they would have done a Flashpoint arc where he comes back around and the other universes are changed and they're all a little different. It could have been fun to have like Gal Gadot be slightly different, like an evil Wonder Woman or something.
Oh, yeah, that would have been cool.
You know, they could have done a Justice League Dark or something out of that, you know.
Any final thoughts? Other unanswered questions?
It's not really an unanswered question, but the fact that the like causality time travel happened inside the bowl, I thought was a cool choice. The fact that he pushed himself out of the thing and then he killed himself in the thing.
Yeah.
And that kind of closed those loops where if he had done that outside of it, they would have just created ripples, you know?
Right.
I thought that was a neat thing.
But being in
and
the
then when they
chrono-
died, the dome separated. They went back to normal because those effects were not permanent and lasting because they did not stick, you know?
Yeah.
It was cool. Those were choices that I thought made sense. I just wish the fucking time travel at the end had been more interesting.
Yeah.
Like you said, Josh, those changes to show that it's doing something, that they're incurring a cost.
And
you can't tell us in the beginning that the slightest change alters many things, and then just have them jump back and forth to try to redo one thing.
Yeah,
It has to mess with the timeline.
It shouldn't be Groundhog Day. He should be creating a bowl of spaghetti.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
based on the last time he went. So I went this time and I didn't save her, but Zod did this. So then the next time it has to be based on what Zod did that time, and you change that. And so every time you come back, things are slightly different. They took pains to tell us that, but then they treat it like you can just pop in and out, wherever you need.
Because that would have added some depth to it in this movie. Because the depth came from all the emotional stakes, but like. The emotional stakes are taken over in the end.
They should have chopped off that opening action sequence and put that time into the time travel at the end.
Yeah,
and if you're manipulating Kara and Zod, then you could possibly have done something to erase the fact that Cal was killed. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Bring Superman back.
If you keep going and messing with if you mess with what happens with Kara and Zod enough, you would probably end up at a timeline where Zod didn't kill.
Jiggling their timeline enough to throw it askew. Yeah, it's interesting.
Right, changing the outcomes of their actions.
That would be really interesting to see him kind of pulling the casino lever of time travel.
Yeah.
That would have been more exciting
good metaphor.
than what we got, which is just him Groundhog Day and becoming better, but it's unattainable. I don't like that.
Right. I don't like it either. It's like going back far enough to end up behind him.
Yeah.
Instead of in front of him. And it's like that doesn't have an effect on anything.
Yeah.
How many years of that? 50 years of him doing that over and over and over and over and over and over again, you know?
Right.
Like, yeah. It should have had effects. Those things should have. Our Flash should have been freaking out.
Yeah.
And how many times he's doing it, yeah.
And watching time slipping away, and he has to make a drastic choice of, I'm going to go so far back in time. I'm going to fix the thing with my mom. I'm going to do all this shit. Fuck all of this. I'm out. You know, and then the guy dies and he fixes it all. Boom. Done. I don't know. Frustrating.
Very, very. So
it was pretty cavalier, their use of time travel.
Yeah.
So, well, all right, guys. I think that's it for The Flash, which means it's time we rank it.
I mean, not the bottom, maybe the middle somewhere.
So the starting point I thought made a good place to go up or down. I thought was Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
I think it's better than Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
It's better than Black Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, better than Shazam, too.
Okay. Is it better than Swamp Thing 2?
No.
You're asking the wrong guy. You know
yeah, exactly. They had bubbling Kool-Aid vats in their
Swamp
lab.
Thing fucks. This thing does not fuck.
Tubers and whatnot.
Tubers.
And what have you.
So let me put it this way. This is our this one is number, what number is this? This is number 166. So that means that 83 is our exact middle. 83 will be our exact middle when we put this in. So everything below 83 is the second half of our list.
I say either ahead of Fury of the Gods or right below Fury of the Gods.
I think it was definitely better than Fury of the Gods, personally.
I think so.
Superman
it had
3
more
Richard Pryor,
more
right?
fan service. Yeah, Superman 3 is great. He's drunk and he freezes the whole lake instead of just blowing out a fire.
Honestly, I kind of want to put this by Blade Trinity. I want to put this above Dawn of Justice, I think. I think I like Blade Trinity more than I like this movie.
Ugh, I did not. I thought Blade Trinity was terrible.
I like Blade Trinity too. Superhero
it's like
movie
a guilty
like
pleasure of mine. Yeah. Superhero movie, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Al, what do you think?
I like putting it right below Return of Swamp Thing.
Okay, that was my first choice.
Yeah.
Above Shazam?
Yep.
Okay.
The Swamp Thing wall holds.
All right.
Yep. It's always been our barometer in our heart.
Let's do it. We will
Swampy.
put The Flash at
a Swamp Thing podcast.
The Swamp Thing podcast.
Swamp Thing and Howard the Duck. There are specialties.
The Flash goes in at number 87. Right. Number 87, just below the middle point, which means, dear listeners, that this is our official end of season 1 of Harmless Phosphorescence.
Wow.
And I'm just
see you in 50 years. No, I'm just kidding.
So what we're gonna do?
We are caught up.
Yep, we're caught up. Blue Beetle or so, not counting. But anyways, so we are going to be switching up and going back and checking out some non-superhero comic book movies. And we're actually going to start with a very loose definition of a comic book, which we did agree upon this a couple months ago. Our first non-superhero comic movie is going to be Annie, the 1980s Annie.
Oh, shit. Okay, I love that movie.
Hey, yeah.
It was a comic strip movie. We talked about this a few months ago, Brian. We all agreed on the list.
When are we getting a Calvin and Hobbes movie? God damn it.
Never.
It's going to take 50 years for Watterson's death, after Watterson's death, and he's still...
I'm sure he's going to bequeath the rights either to nobody or to some trust that will never allow it. That's the reason why we don't have any Calvin and Hobbes anymore.
Yeah.
Namely the Calvin pissing on things sticker.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. I'm glad there isn't more.
Me too. Honestly, it keeps it special. But
it's going to happen. Someone will weasel their way.
But yeah, if we did Popeye, Annie, Dick Tracy, Flash.
So Annie is next week, and that's it. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us on Harmless Phosphorescence. I'd like to thank you all, but my ego's far too big to say thank you to someone else. It's all part of a persona to compensate for my childhood trauma. This has been your host, Thoreau Smiley.
Damn it. Can you...
Josh, are you back? You froze.
Yeah, I froze.
All right, we're doing the outro. So I just did mine. So I'm throwing to you now for the outro.
Okay. I'm Josh Cece, and I wish I could go back in time just enough to fix whatever it was that just glitched me out of this.
You're muted, Brian. This is great.
This movie beeves. I still don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm Brian Lesh.
I'm Alaric Weber, and I smell like a boot.
Glad we're on Zoom. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.